He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Well, I want to congratulate the Freedom Caucus, the true constitutional conservatives, the true patriots, for stopping this disastrous bill from passing and its fraud being imposed on the American people. We need to seriously address our health care issues. I thought the president's comments today were actually superb, and he showed great humility, and we'll get to that later. This was bad legislation. They tried to rally support for it. Having failed, they then started to threaten people. Then they pulled the bill. That's not leadership. They had 7 years to prepare for this, to bring in the different quote-unquote factions, and to address the fundamental problems of Obamacare. I keep hearing Paul Ryan and his surrogates within the Republican leadership and his cronies within the Republican Party go on and on about it's time to govern. It's one thing to be in the opposition, but it's time to govern. I would say to the Speaker, to the House Majority Leader, to the House Majority Whip, you're pointing your fingers at yourselves. It is time to govern. And this isn't leadership. This is not leadership. You excluded the conservatives, and it's odd that we talk about the conservatives as 40 or 50 among 200 and some Republicans. You excluded the conservatives from the early stages of developing this, and now you're attacking them. As usual, the conservatives are at first ignored, and then they're attacked and blamed. We've been hearing all kinds of deceit and deceptions about health savings accounts, about Medicaid, about policy choices, about future costs, all lies. We were told so much couldn't be done through budget reconciliation. They never even asked the parliamentarian. We found that out the other day. And, of course, the Vice President of the United States is the ultimate parliamentarian under the relevant statute, and he's the President of the Senate under the Constitution. The problem, ladies and gentlemen, comes down to this. Many Republicans, including Republicans in the leadership, do not want to repeal big chunks of Obamacare. They do not want to do it, and they won't do it, including President Trump's choice for Secretary of HHS, Tom Price, who made it abundantly clear last weekend that we can't just repeal Obamacare. They voted 60 times to repeal Obamacare. They put a repeal bill on Obama's desk, but they refused to do it when they controlled both houses of Congress and the presidency. So 60 times it was a sham. The one time they put it on Obama's desk was a sham. A sham. We'll get into this. Now, as for the Democrats, the Democrats have destroyed our healthcare system. And they're cheering today because they want to keep it destroyed. A pretty sick collection of politicians, don't you think? They have destroyed our healthcare system. They have destroyed our insurance system. The greatest medical system on the face of the earth. which most people can't even afford anymore with insurance. That's why you get government out of things. Drives up costs and drives down care. This is who they are. They have been desperate to nationalize our health care, and they effectively had. My problem is Republicans want to go along with them. Even many of your neighbors who claim to be conservatives. If you tell them, this pre-existing condition, really, it shouldn't be a matter of national mandate by the federal government. The states can handle it. What are you talking about? Or, I know you have a kid who's 25 or 23 on your health care plan, but they really ought to be on their own health care plan. What are you talking about? I don't really think we should expand Medicaid. It's already broke to include people who are at 138% of the poverty level, not just the poverty level. We really can't afford it. Why, are you against poor people? And you'll hear this from conservatives, so-called. I saw one knucklehead on Fox start again to attack the insurance companies. You can attack the insurance companies and the drug companies and the doctors and the hospitals and the this and the that. The fact of the matter is, there was a time when you could buy affordable insurance. There was a time when doctors could actually spend time and give you care at a reasonable cost. We did have these things before we had massive centralized government and redistribution of wealth and all these self-appointed eggheads telling us who can get what, when, how, and where, and so forth. The Republican Party is lost. Rather than follow the conservatives, the Reaganites, the Tea Party types, rather than listen to really good proposals coming out of the Cato Institute and the Heritage Foundation and many other places, they decided to ram through something that is absolutely unsustainable and untenable financially and for you. And for you. They never could explain how your policy costs would go down. They never could explain how your deductions would go down. They never could explain how we were going to pay for all these massive subsidies to states. And, of course, the poor, who are never subsidized. But it's striking home. It's hurting people. Where people who even make decent incomes cannot afford their health care anymore since Obamacare. Since Obamacare. I guess it's 10 years now, maybe longer, I don't remember. Maybe shorter. But it was a long time ago when I wrote Liberty and Tyranny. Liberty and Tyranny, and the subtitle was A Conservative Manifesto. And under item 7, under the Conservative Manifesto, I wrote this: fight all efforts to nationalize the healthcare system. National health care is the mother of all entitlement programs, for through it, the status controls not only the material wealth of the individual, but his physical well-being. Remind the people that politicians and bureaucrats, about whom they are already cynical, will ultimately have the final say over their choice of doctors, hospitals, and treatments, meaning the system will be politicized and bureaucratized. Remind them that this human experiment has been tried and has failed in places like Britain and Canada, where patients have been subjected to arbitrary treatment decisions, long waiting periods for life-saving surgeries, antiquated medical technologies, the denial of high-cost pharmaceuticals available elsewhere, and the inefficient rationing of health care generally. And remind them that despite past utopian promises, the statist rarely delivers. The statist rarely delivers. When I heard Tom Price over the weekend basically say, no, we cannot just repeal Obamacare. There's all these people we have to take care of. We can't just leave them. We're humane. I thought to myself, he just gave it up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been spending trillions and trillions of dollars on people who cannot afford, quote unquote, this, that, or the other thing. The main purpose today of the federal government is to redistribute wealth from those who make it to those who take it, whatever their circumstances. You and I, this is all we do. Tax day's coming. Our tax rates are enormous. And we keep paying for people we don't know, strangers, who are poor. They keep changing the definition of poor. We keep paying for people who are here illegally. And we're told, suck it up. That's the way it goes. We see a central government out of control. We want somebody. We want a political party to make things right. Not all at once, not in every way, but just start. And they had the perfect opportunity to do it with Obamacare. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, a big part of the Republican Party is progressive. That is, they're utopian statists. They call themselves moderates, and the media reports, oh, the moderates. They're not moderates. They're big government progressives. They didn't want any changes to Medicaid. Obama expanded it. They voted against it. Now they want it. Like a bunch of druggies. They talk a good game. They mean none of it. The problem, you see, with the Freedom Caucus and the patriots who make up that membership, and it ought to be all the Republicans, but clearly it's not, is they actually believe what they say. When they talk about free market economics, they mean it. When they talk about capitalism, they mean it. When they talk about more competition and opportunity, they mean it. And they know what stands in the way is government. And they were hell-bent against giving a rubber stamp to Rhino Care, repeal and name only. They were not going to give a rubber stamp to Obamacare Light. It would go against their own moral beliefs and their principles, and they were right. And they were attacked, and they're called names. Even now, whether you watch Fox or CNN or any of it, they bait. They bait the Republican leadership. They bait the surrogates and the cronies of the Republican leadership in Congress. What do you say to the Freedom Caucus? Do you think the Freedom Caucus screwed you? What do you say to them? What about them? What about them? They should be listening to them and listening to their ideas and begin the process, slowly but surely, of explaining to the American people and persuading the American people that we have a completely different and better way, which starts with individual liberty and family and choice. That we want to get the government, liberals used to say this, out of your bedroom, out of your decision-making process. And the people may actually join us because they're sick of the red tape too. Instead, to hear the cheap shots, oh, you know, the insurance company, oh, big pharma, oh, you know, the doctor, has nothing to do with any of that. You want to punish the big insurance companies? Then unleash liberty, where there's more insurance companies. You want to punish big pharma? Then unleash liberty, where there's more pharmaceutical companies. Competition. Competition. This bill wasn't written for insurance companies. It wasn't written for big pharma. This bill was written by cowards. Cowards who were afraid that if they dared to touch what Obama had built in any significant way, that they'd lose at the ballot box. That the liberal media who hate us, who hate our Constitution, who despise our history, just like the Democrats on display at the Senate Judiciary Committee hearings for Neil Gorsuch, that they will turn on them and accuse them of opposing poor people. How many times do we hear? 14 million, 24 million people will be dropped from the rolls. 24 million people? No. 10, 9, 14 million, maybe. But if we had a vibrant, competitive insurance market, they would be able to purchase their own insurance at a much cheaper price. And they're going to be dropped anyway if Obamacare remains in place, because it's imploding, as everybody knew it would. And somehow the Democrats are responsible for nothing. The Obama administration and all of its abuse of intelligence gathering and so forth, it's not targeted. It's not under investigation like it should be. The Obama administration and the destruction of our healthcare system, it's not attacked. It doesn't get a tongue lashing. No. The conservatives who had nothing to do with it, the conservatives who actually want to fix this, they're attacked. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, these are the sorts of things that help you determine when you listen to radio, which is a voluntary choice you make, or watch TV, a voluntary choice you make, and certain shows and hosts you're particularly interested in. This really tells you who they are. Something this consequential. You have hosts that were sitting on the fence as referees. You have hosts that were silent. You have hosts who were briefed by the Republican leadership, and they don't tell you. I told you that Speaker Ryan reached out to me repeatedly, and I finally took his call, and we politely disagreed. The vice president was on this program. We politely disagreed. We had Levin surges 2 nights in a row to try and stop this. We had members of the Freedom Caucus on this program, as well as conservative senators like Mike Lee, to try and stop it. This was a terrible bill. It doesn't reflect our principles at all. You've got people on Fox and other cable channels just screaming at the top of their lungs about what a disgrace this is. The disgrace is that the Republican leadership and the Republican Party generally, and I might include the White House generally, did not embrace market mechanisms that work. That work. They're even used in Eastern Europe after the Iron Curtain fell. The Democrats lurch hard left, and the Republicans lurch left. This isn't about voting just because the speaker tells you to vote a certain way or somebody threatens to challenge you in a Republican primary. You want to do what's right and try and fix the problem.
Levin, the champion of liberty and true conservatism. Call Mark now, 877-381-3811.
All weekend long, starting this evening into Sunday, we're going to hear how this is a grave setback for the President of the United States. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm so sick of the media in this country. This is a grave setback for the American people. First of all, the stupid Republican proposal, which was going to die anyway, and everybody knew it. So we waste weeks on that. The devastating Obamacare bill, which passed and is now law. It's the blob swallowing up health care. The pathetic low IQ media in this country, which sees everything as a game in which the president must lose. You won't see a single story on any of the cable channels or the network channels or the satellite channels. You won't see a single story about what's going on in America's healthcare system today. They will not use this as an opportunity to talk about what a disgrace Obamacare is because they like it. They're the Praetorian Guard media. They think it's a joke. Have you noticed how giddy the media are? The smiles on their pathetic faces. Have you seen it? They think this is great. No, it's not great. You have people suffering out there who cannot afford their health care, and the Democrats don't have an answer. They helped cause it. And the Republicans blew it. Now, part of the problem here, ladies and gentlemen, is a guy by the name of Gary Cohn, C-O-H-N, a New York liberal Democrat, in my humble opinion. No, nobody's leaked this to me. I've been watching this guy. A Goldman Sachs guy, an egomaniac, a big mouth, and a big lib, pushing the carbon tax and the Paris Agreement and this and that and all the other crap. There's another problem. I'm sorry, it's true. Reince Priebus, working with his Republican friends in Congress, including Paul Ryan. Reince Priebus. The president has around him New York liberals. That is, he's got progressives, he's got populists, nationalists, a rhino. He needs a few conservative capitalists. Some free market capitalists. That would help. It would help, in my opinion. Now, I thought the president's comments today were actually outstanding. And he showed enormous humility. And this guy doesn't give up. I mean, he said, okay, we'll fight another day. In essence, he said, look, events are going to reach a point where this is going to have to be addressed and resolved. And when it reaches that point, I'm here. Mark, that's not leadership. Well, it kind of is, actually. I'm not making a comparison. It's the sort of way that Dwight Eisenhower managed. He said, okay, when things reach a point, they'll be knocking on my door, and then we'll figure things out. But I want you to hear some of this, because many of you were working as these things transpired through the day. Let's start with cut 6. Mr. Producer, go.
Thank you very much. We were very close. It was a very, very tight margin. We had no Democrat support. We had no votes from the Democrats. They weren't going to give us a single vote, so it's a very difficult thing to do. I've been saying for the last year and a half that the best thing we can do, politically speaking, is let Obamacare explode. It is exploding right now. It's many states have big problems. Almost all states have big problems. I was in Tennessee the other day, and they've lost half of their state in terms of an insurer. They have no insurer, and that's happening to many other places. I was in Kentucky the other day, and similar things are happening. So Obamacare is exploding. With no Democrat support, we couldn't quite get there. We're just a very small number of votes short in terms of getting our bill passed. A lot of people don't realize how good our bill was because they were viewing phase 1, but when you add phase 2, which was mostly the signings of Secretary Price, who's behind me, and you add phase 3, which I think we would have gotten, it became a great bill. Premiums would have gone down, and it would have been very stable, it would have been very strong. But that's okay. But we were very, very close, and again, I think what will happen is Obamacare, unfortunately, will explode. It's going to have a very bad year.
Now, people say, well, that's it. That's what he said. Well, he's not a dictator. A bill wasn't passed, and he couldn't sign it. Now, he got behind this bill. I've heard it said, you know, he could have done more. I don't know what else he could have done. I think that was his mistake, getting behind this bill. And that he and his staff, and I wish there was a conservative capitalist, rather than a liberal New York Democrat like this guy Gary Cohn or whatever his name is, or, you know, a top conservative economist, and sit down and say to the Republican leadership, no, we want these changes in here. We need to make these changes in here. Instead, you got Ryan with Reince Priebus, you got the liberal Democrat, you got this going on and that going on. But anyway, I thought Trump handled himself actually in this speech exceptionally well. Cut 7, go.
And I think the losers are Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, because now they own Obamacare. They own it, 100% own it. Mm-hmm. And this is not a Republican health care. This is not anything but a Democrat health care. And they have Obamacare for a little while longer until it ceases to exist.
And while we're on this, where are the proposals from Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to fix their Obamacare? Where are the Democrat proposals? I don't mean the lunatic Marxist left like Bernie Sanders. Hey, I don't know what. Let's not. Shut up and sit down. No. Where are the proposals coming from Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi to fix what they wrought? To fix what they unleashed on the American people? Where are their proposals, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm sure all weekend long, Jake Tapper and Brian Sletzer, or whatever the hell his name is, on CNN, Wolf Blitzer, I'm sure they're going to be really asking about it. Or Chuck Todd on Meet the Depressed, another Democrat. Or, what's his name, the one on the ABC. Put him out of my head. Stephanopoulos, another Democrat. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. No, you're going to hear all day long. Is this a setback for Trump? What do you think of the Freedom Caucus? Is this a setback for Trump? What do you think of the Freedom Caucus? Twerps. Go ahead.
At some point in the near future. And just remember, this is not our bill, this is their bill. Now, when they all become civilized and get together and try and work
By the way, right there, I loved it when he said that. When they become civilized and get together. Yeah, because they're a bunch of schmucks, frankly. The Democrats. He says, when they all become civilized and get together. All right, go ahead.
Health care bill for the people of this country, we're open to it. We're totally open to it.
Now, here's an example of the low IQ left-wing media. Cut 8, go.
Do you feel betrayed by the House Freedom Caucus at all? They seem
Stop.
to be
Hey, do you feel betrayed by the House Freedom Caucus? You know, those conservatives, damn them. Go ahead.
most difficult to
No,
get.
I'm not betrayed. They're friends of mine. I'm disappointed because we could have had it. So I'm disappointed. I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you. We really had it. It was pretty much there, within grasp. But I'll tell you what's going to come out of it is a better bill.
Mm-hmm. I think he's quite right about that. Kill this thing, let some time pass, and then make a better run at it. Make a better run at it. Cut 9, go.
Well, I think we could have things that I would have liked more. And if we had bipartisan, I really think we could have a health care bill that would be the ultimate. And I think the Democrats know that also. And someday, in the not-too-distant future, that'll happen. And I never said, I guess I'm here, 64 days? I never said repeal and replace Obamacare. You've all heard my speeches. I never said repeal it and replace it within 64 days. I have a long time.
I have to say, he has quite a good attitude, doesn't he, Mr. Producer? He's playing long ball. He's playing long ball. Cut 10, go.
The one thing that was happening as we got closer and closer, everybody was talking about how wonderful it was, and now it will go back to real life. People will see how bad it is, and it's getting much worse.
Obama.
You know, I said the other day when President Obama left, 17, he knew he wasn't going to be here. 17 is going to be a very, very bad year for Obamacare. Very, very bad. You're going to have explosive premium increases, and your deductibles are so high people don't even get to use it. So they'll go with that for a little while, and I honestly believe, I know some of the Democrats, and they're good people. I honestly believe the Democrats will come to us and say, look, let's get together and get a great health care bill or plan that's really great for the people of our country. And I think that's going to happen.
I really thought these were excellent comments by the president. I don't know what else he could have said, quite frankly. But they were really excellent comments. I do think they need to muscle up some of the staff at the White House. I really do. We need to bring in some more free market economists with actual substantive plans. We can't just leave it to the superficial politicians and left-wing Democrats like this Gary Kahn, among others. Can't leave it to Reince Priebus. He's just glad to be in the White House. Hey, look at this. I have a T-shirt with the White House logo on it. No, it's time for really smart people, thinkers, yes, elitists, who understand how markets work, and they're going to be needed to unravel what the left-wing eggheads did under Obamacare. We need our smart economists, our intellectuals, to undo what their dastardly leftist intellectuals did. And it's going to take more than a few committee chairmen and 14-year-old staff members and threatening conservatives run people against them in the primaries and stuff like that. We got to get very, very serious about fixing this. Get rid of it, and then let's try our way for once. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, we have the greatest democracy in the world, but we have a problem. You saw it in this Obamacare fight just now. That's right, democracy, not republic. You have politicians falling all over themselves to take money from one citizen to give to another. And that's how they buy votes. They do things that if it were done in the private sector, they go to prison. You can't steal a loaf of bread and give it to somebody else, no matter how poor they are. It's like institutionalizing criminality. That's what redistribution of wealth is all about, really. Trillions and trillions of dollars of it. They can't even address Obamacare straight on. And we control all the elected branches of government. They don't even talk about capitalism. When's the last time you heard that word used by a Republican leader on any one of these TV or radio shows? Capitalism. Well, this tells you where we're headed as a country, generally speaking. If they can't even take care of Obamacare, which is what, 7, 8 years old, how are they going to reform the other entitlements? How are they going to get other spending under control, the redistribution of wealth, massive welfare state? They're not. That's my great fear. This is why I believe in the Liberty Amendments. But this is not academic to your life, even though you can't influence it in any effective way beyond the Liberty Amendments. You need to protect yourselves, protect your families, protect your income, protect what you've earned. This is why I encourage you to diversify. You can't keep all your money in cash or put it in a savings account forever, or even your pensions. Maybe they have some stock and so forth and so on. The stock market's not going to keep going up and up and up and up and up, so you diversify. You diversify. That's why I want you to take steps now to consider adding gold. Adding gold, the only currency they can't manipulate. And you can put it in your portfolio. You can even put it in your IRA. The only gold company I trust is our wonderful sponsor, Goldline. They've been around for over 55 years. Here's their number, 877-365-COIN. They're there right now, 877-365-COIN. And you can get started for as little as $100 a month. Get the free risk information, and if you call them now, right now, Goldline will also give you a free Ronald Reagan presidential dollar just for calling, but they're not going to last forever. So I would call right now. Get your free Ronald Reagan presidential dollar and then inquire about gold. 877-365-COIN, 877-365-2646, 877-365-COIN. All right, let's take a couple calls here. Teresa, Fort Myers, Florida, the great WFSX. Go.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes.
I wanted to know what would be the reason behind us not being able to go back to the health care system that we had before Obamacare and work on that system to accommodate somehow people that weren't able to afford insurance to
All right, I
know,
got
to
it.
just-
There's two reasons before we run out of time. There's two reasons. Number one, you have a percentage of the Republicans in the Congress who don't want to do it, who are progressives. The second reason is it takes a lot of guts. And you would think they would show at least the same amount of guts as Obama and the Democrats did when they passed Obamacare in the first place. It takes a lot of guts because you'll have low IQ reporters, so-called, going on with Democrat talking points and knee-jerk talking points about how you're harming this group, or this group, when in fact what you're trying to do is unleash a system that would create more alternatives, more options, cheaper policies, lower deductions, that would create more businesses, more insurance companies. They can do business from one part of the country to the other rather than be stuck within the states by themselves. And so, you have to really believe in this and want to talk about it and press it. Like the Democrats do when they talk about centralized government and so forth. Thank you for your call. Coulter, Bozeman, Montana, the great KBOZ. Go.
Hey, Mark, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to call. I'm a little upset with conservatism here. I'm a little too young to remember the Reagan.
Why are you
years.
upset with conservatives? They didn't do anything.
Well, that's exactly why I'm upset with them. They don't do anything.
No, pal, don't twist what I'm saying. They didn't create this debacle. You created this debacle. Guys like you who trash conservatives. Guys like you who pretend that you're conservative. Guys like you who like to talk day in and day out about the debt and the federal government and all the rest. And when the rubber hits the road, what do? You run like a coward and you trash conservatives. What do you think about that, pal?
I'm 33.
Now get off the phone. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Hour 2. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Now, some of these so-called never-Trumpers who remain never-Trumpers, some of whom are Bush guys who pretend to be the most conservative people on the block, or former Democrats who pretend to be the most conservative people on the block, or the circle nerd types over there at the Wall Street Journal editorial page, some of my friends at National Review, those types of folks. If they had had their way, either by not voting for Trump or voting for Evan, I believe his name was McMullen, Hillary Clinton would be president of the United States. You know what they would be debating on the Hill today? Single-payer health care. That's what they'd be debating today. It's one thing to fight through the Republican primaries as hard as you can for the candidate you want. Your candidate loses. Then to look realistically at what options you have. And the left, to me, is the enemy of the country. The left, to me, has taken us so far away from our constitutional system that we simply cannot survive much more of this. You just can't. And so you back a candidate who may not agree with you, or you may not agree with them on a number of issues. But at least they're not out to trash the country and drag us to the left. No, they're not sitting there every waking day looking for Alinsky tactics to drive us further and further and further to the left. It doesn't mean you don't criticize the sitting president. Nixon was criticized. Ford was criticized. Bush was criticized. The other Bush was criticized. Reagan was criticized. Eisenhower. Yes. And you should. You have to be discerning, issue by issue by issue. But if Hillary Clinton had won the presidency, today we would be regretting it gravely, because she and her party would be advancing single-payer health care. British style, French style, single-payer health care, Canadian style. She would be playing to her left-wing kook base, the Bernie Sanders base on health care. And those who sat out the election or threw their vote to a third-party candidate they didn't even know. Now they can sit back and shoot their spitballs. They're so clever. They're so much more conservative than the rest of us, don't you know? But they're not. They're not. That's what they would have delivered for us. That's what they would have delivered for us. Paul Ryan today. Cut 11, Mr. Producer. Go.
Moving from an opposition party to a governing party comes with growing pains. And
yes, well, apparently they're growing pains for you, sir. They're growing pains for you. This was your strategy. This was your bill, and it failed. It was a bad strategy and a bad bill. And you kept the conservatives out in the early stages of this. That was a bad mistake. And the fact that I have to talk about the conservatives, a handful, relative handful of members of the Republican Party in the House, is shameful. Absolutely shameful. But this is propaganda. We have to move from a governing party, you know, from an opposition party to from an opposition party to a governing party. Well, no, there are legitimate problems and concerns with this bill. It has nothing to do with the conservatives are just opponents. They don't support things. It's simply not true. Your bill was crap. Crap. Go ahead.
we're feeling those growing pains today. We came really close today.
But thank God you failed. Thanks. Because of the American people. They would have suffered as a result of this bill. Go ahead.
Sure. I spoke to the president just a little while ago. I told him that the best thing I think to do is to pull this bill, and he agreed with that decision. I will not sugarcoat this. This is a disappointing day for us.
I'm sorry you're disappointed today. Well, maybe you shouldn't have conducted yourself this way. I'm sorry you're disappointed. Go ahead.
Big things is hard.
Yes, doing... What is this? What did it? You go to a Chinese restaurant and have 12 or 14 fortune cookies? Let's see here. Big things are hard. Yeah. That's the ticket. Big things are hard. Oh, here's another one. Opposition party to a governing party. Yeah, I like that one, too. I like that one. Yeah. Go ahead.
All of us, myself included, we will need time to reflect on how we got to this moment, what we could have done to do it better.
Well, you don't need a lot of time to reflect. When you called me, I told you what you could do better. But I didn't call you, you called me. Go ahead.
Ultimately, this all kind of comes down to a choice. Are all of us willing to give a little to get something done? Are we willing to say...
Wait a minute, let me write that one down. Are all of us willing to give a little to get something done? Go ahead.
To the very good, even if it's not the perfect.
Oh, I never heard that line before. Are we willing to say yes to the good, the very good, even if it's not the perfect? Never heard that line before. Go ahead.
Because if we're willing to do that, we still have such an incredible opportunity in front of us.
Okay. Does anybody know what he said there? He didn't say anything. And honestly, he doesn't mean it either. Doesn't mean it. The idea that the Republicans control both houses and the presidency, and there's not a big push for more market-oriented reforms, people might say to me, well, you're not going to get a majority vote for that. Isn't that amazing? We're not going to get a majority vote for that in the Republican Party. But you'll never get a majority vote for that if you don't campaign or try to persuade the American people on that. If you don't hit it each and every day the way the left hits their agenda. If you don't explain it every day. But if you don't believe in it, you're not going to explain it. By the way, where's Mitch McConnell been? He just sits over there on his butt in the United States and sits around watches what goes on in the House, watches what the president just sits there with that sourpuss look on his face. Hey, you know what? Now sit down. It's quite the leader, that Mitch McConnell, isn't he? Cut 12, go.
I'm really proud of the bill that we produced.
That's the problem. Go ahead.
I'm really proud of the bill that we produced. It would make a dramatic improvement.
All right, your bill's dead, and it sucked. Cut 13, go.
Obamacare is the law of the land.
There's another fortune cookie. Let me write. Obamacare is the law of the land. Who knew? Go ahead.
Of the land until it's replaced. We did not have quite the votes to replace this law.
No, you didn't have the bill to replace it. Yes, go ahead.
And so, yeah, we're going to be living with Obamacare for the foreseeable future. I don't know how long it's going to take us to replace this law. My worry is Obamacare is going to be getting even worse.
Well, I think we should ask Chucky Schmucky Schumer and Nancy Stretch Pelosi for their proposals on fixing their law. What are their proposals? I'm sure the media will demand them all weekend long as the Democrats come on the shows. And, hey, what about the Freedom Caucus? Oh, the Freedom Caucus, freedom. Hey, that's my question. What are Pelosi and Schumer proposing to fix Obamacare? It's their law. Go ahead.
I think we were probably doing the Democrats a favor. I think we were doing the architects of Obama a favor by passing this law before it gets even worse. Well,
now listen, he's just confessed to something that I've been saying myself. He says we're doing the architects of Obamacare a favor. Yes, you are. You're trying to breathe life back into Obamacare. He just said it. You see, we want to throw out the architects to Obamacare. And we want to be the architects to real health care, Mr. Ryan. You don't quite grasp it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
There it is again, Mr. Producer, Sharky's machine. Burt Reynolds. I miss Burt Reynolds. You ever see this movie, Rich? Why don't you watch it over the weekend? Make sure the kids aren't around. It's a tough movie. It's a good movie. Louder. All right. Paul Ryan at his press conference today. Well, imagine this. Another reporter trying to bait him. Trying to hook him. Get the conservatives. Get the Freedom Caucus. Cut 15. Go.
Can you explain if it is the conservatives of the Freedom Caucus who effectively drove out your predecessor, John Boehner, are they responsible for the defeat here today?
See how upset she is? Look at her. Look how fast she does. Hey, call on me. Call on me. I'm ready. Call on me. Yes, you. Can you say it's the conservatives and the Freedom Caucus that drove out your predecessor, that drove out John Boehner? Are they responsible for this defeat today? Come on. Yeah. Go ahead.
Cast blame. There is a block of no votes that we had that is why this didn't pass. They were a sufficient number of votes that prevented it from passing, and they didn't change their votes. We were close.
Now, Mr. Ryan, there were some liberal Republicans who voted no, too, correct? You noticed have you noticed the reporter didn't ask about them? Notice the reporter didn't ask about the liberals. No. She didn't ask about the liberals. No. Just the conservatives, the Freedom Caucus that drove out John Boehner. Notice Ryan didn't mention that either. Well, now let's have some additional fun, shall we? Nancy Stretch Pelosi. Oh, you can't miss her. She's the one who doesn't blink. She's the one with the ping pong balls for eyes that pop out of her head. Let's go to cut 16. Go.
Tomorrow is the 51st anniversary of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. saying in a speech that Mr. Clyburn quotes often to us, that of all of the forms of inequality, the inequality in health care is probably the most inhumane and can sometimes lead to death.
Well, this is quite true. So we need equality in health care like they have in North Korea. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Equality in health care. Not access to good, quality health care. Equality in health care. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, they really believe in this, Mr. Clyburn and Ms. Pelosi, because they've made sure that Obamacare does not apply to them. Isn't that right, Mr. Producer? That's right. Obamacare doesn't apply to members of Congress like Mr. Clyburn and Ms. Pelosi, who quotes Martin Luther King about inequality in health care and how inhumane it is. What a bunch of frauds and kooks. Speaking of, here's some of the Republicans. Now, this guy, Bradley Byrne, he's a big-time disgrace, Alabama. I'm sorry. That 1st District in Alabama is a solid district. It's a Republican district. I know it well. And you elect this schmo, this buffoon. Let's hear what he had to say, the genius. Cut 2, go.
Time to make a decision, gentlemen and ladies. Time to make a decision. And this is one of those moments where you've got to say who you really are deep inside of you. Are you for President Trump and repealing and replacing Obamacare, or are you against President Trump and you're against repealing and replacing Obamacare? It's that simple. And when you get it down to making it that simple, it's a pretty
When you get it
easy
down to making it that simple, brother, you're a simpleton. So Bradley Byrne is a simpleton. So the vote today wasn't about you, the American people. It wasn't about ensuring that we have quality, affordable health care. No, for Mr. Simpleton, Bradley Byrne, it was a vote for or against Donald Trump. I mean, what a schmuck. And then there's Chris Collins, another genius, Republican from New York, on MSLSD last night. Cut 1, go.
So in my district, right now there's a lot of misunderstanding about what it is we're doing, and once we get it done, and then we can have the chance to really explain it.
This is his version of Nancy Pelosi. He's Nancy Pelosi in drag, this guy. Once we get it done, we can have a chance to really explain it. Another schmuck. Speaking of which, Tom Cole, Republican of Oklahoma. What does he have to say? Cut 3, go.
There's a lot of good things in here that conservatives like. Getting rid of the mandates, making sure that most of these decisions on the kind of plans you get are made at the state level.
You know, you're so full of crap. You really are. I would invite this guy on and go toe-to-toe with him. But anyway, go ahead.
Providing individual tax credits so people can purchase the plan that suits them the best. Those things are
No. Those individual tax credits are subsidies, the vast majority of which goes to individuals who don't pay taxes or pay very little in taxes. It's welfare. Go ahead.
The essentials are there, but you'll continue to work it through the process. If you kill it today, the odds of coming back and getting something better, I think, are pretty remote.
Well, there you go, rambling on like a buffoon. Again, speaking of which, John Lewis, civil rights leader from Georgia, Atlanta. Cut 4, go.
Healthcare is a right.
Oh, lower the volume, will you? Healthcare is a right, ladies and gentlemen. And exactly what are they doing about that right at the Veterans Administration? What are they doing, Mr. Lewis, since healthcare is a right? And you voted for and support Obamacare, Mr. Lewis. Is health care a right? Well, if it's a right, why do some families have deductibles of $18,000, Mr. Lewis? Why is that? If health care is a right, why are they unable to see their doctors in many cases, Mr. Lewis? In other words, why are you blowing hot air? Go ahead.
It's not a privilege
preserved for a wealthy few. For what does it profit this body to pass this bill and lose our soul?
Oh, good Lord. Go ahead.
We cannot abandon our principles. Mr. Speaker, we cannot forget our values.
All right, I'm getting a headache. I can't. Everything's not Selma, Alabama, sir. I hate to tell you this. That's a bridge too far. This is ridiculous. Losing our soul? Only the rich? Yeah, that's why Democrats keep losing elections. Because people keep voting for the rich and people keep losing their soul. How ridiculous is this? I'll be right back.
The cost of freedom is high, but this phone call is not. Call Mark Levin toll-free at 877-381-3811.
Is J.Ed Kirkomi still on the job? I think he is. Yes. ZipRecruiter can help bring the best talent to your business. Successful businesses hire great people. And ZipRecruiter makes it easy for you by providing hassle-free job postings and easy candidate screening. With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post your job to 200-plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. ZipRecruiter has been used by Fortune 100 companies and hundreds of thousands of small and medium-sized companies. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Quickly screen candidates, rate them, and hire the right person fast. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. And for the perfect hire, you need to be on all the top job sites, and now you can with ZipRecruiter. And right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. For free. Here's how you do it. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Levin. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Levin. One more time to try it free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Levin. Levin. Karen, Rock Springs, Wyoming, Sirius Satellite. How are you?
Hi. Appreciate your efforts to stop this bill, Mark, and the articulation, everything that you've said today. I want to weigh in because we own a small medical, emergency medical clinic. My husband is a PA in partnership with two others. And it feels like we're just staggering under the weight of the Cadillac taxes. And it doesn't seem the Cadillac tax has been addressed much. You know, to Speaker Ryan, I would say, well, you're doing the architects a favor. Why don't you do small business a favor? We can't continue to pay this 200% penalty tax in order that we would, just so we can keep retaining and recruiting quality nurses and staff and other PA, other members of our clinic. The 100% tax on that the business pays for out of pocket, and then 100% additional tax. So that's a total of 200% tax. Jeez. That goes in on our personal taxes as well. And, you know, the bottom line, while we're waiting for Obamacare to explode now, small business, we're hoping the small business that we as responsible citizens built from the ground up with our hard blood, sweat, and tears in college and medical school, that doesn't implode with it.
Well, how come there's no pressure whatsoever on the Democrats to make proposals to fix what they did?
Yeah, it's crazy that you're exactly right on. You speak the
media just, go ahead. Yeah, the media just are disgusting. Those of you who don't have a life and you're going to watch news all weekend long, particularly the Sunday shows, you mark my words on this. The Democrats, where is their plan for fixing their creation? They lied through their teeth to get this Obamacare passed. Most of you haven't been able to pick your doctors. Most of you haven't seen $2,500 reductions in your policy costs. Most of you haven't seen deductions go down, so they lied. Now, Where will Jake Tapper be? Or Brian Putz or Stelz or whatever his name is? Where will Brian Ross be? I know he'll be at the bar, but will he be anywhere else? How about the morning schmo? I know he'll have his head up some Hollywood anyway, so where will these people be? Nowhere.
Right.
It'll be all Republican all the time. I'm quite serious about this. All right, well, good luck to you, Karen. Thank you for calling. Let's continue. Pete, Sunnyvale, California, the great KSFO. Pete, where in Sunnyvale are you? Don't give me the street. Just give me a street you're near.
I live in the general area of Sunnyvale. I don't want to give my exact address.
Do you know where Waxwing Avenue is?
Where?
Oh, yes. Do you know where Waxwing Avenue is, near Lawrence?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Do you know I lived on that street, how many years ago? How old am I now? I lived on that street 28 years ago.
Well, I'll tell you, you wouldn't recognize the place. It's terrible. But anyway, I'll get right to the point. I'm glad 30 guys stood together. Finally, we have people in this country standing up for the American people. Not getting sold out like we got sold out by our last administration. Not getting sold out by these guys. Every year we give them what they want, and we don't get anything. And last thing, Mark, you're an American treasure. I'm telling you. You are one of the present-day founding fathers. Standing up for law enforcement, the military. We can't speak. You speak for us. And when you do, like I said, it keeps that flame alive. Like I said, these 30 guys, thank goodness they stood and held the line, because the line hasn't been held in a long time.
No, you're right.
So I appreciate what you do, and I know there are Americans out there appreciate what you do. Keep battling for what's right, because what they're doing is they're making it illegal to be an American. You can't have a non-American opinion, Mark, and it's disgusting.
Well, I appreciate it, Pete. You take care of yourself in Sunnyvale. Sunnyvale was a nice town when I lived there. My daughter turned 1 year old in Sunnyvale. I remember that day. I absolutely do. They had great donut places, too, but Stan's is the standout. No question about that. There was something he said. Oh, police officers. Did I tell the story, Mr. Producer, about last weekend driving down A1A in Florida along the ocean, where my Julie and I were stopped by the police? Did I tell you that story? Well, let me tell that story briefly. I gave a speech at the Club for Growth. No, I didn't take an honorarium. I like that organization. They asked me to speak, so I agreed to speak. So I spoke at lunch, and then we decided to go and drive around the area. And I said, all right, let's drive down, A1A on the ocean. So we drive down, and then we come up to a barrier. And I should have realized it, because it's where Mar-a-Lago is. And it's blocked off unless you have a valid pass to go through in order to protect the president. Fair enough. So there were a couple of very, very nice police officers there, deputy sheriffs. And I said, okay, well, how do we get out of here? And, well, you go this way, you go over the bridge, and you do this and you do that. And I said, oh, okay. Then I put out my hand, and I shook the officer's hand and thanked him and gave my name. And he said, would you do me a favor? I said, what? Do you mind can we take our picture with you? I said, really? He said, yes. I parked on the grass, and I took my picture with him, and then his partner came over. I took my picture with him, and then we drove off. They couldn't have been nicer. They couldn't have been nicer. If you're nice to police officers, they're going to be nice to you. If you're breaking the law, they may not be nice to you. But they couldn't have been nicer. And I have to say, I was glad that street was blocked off to protect the president. Because that Mar-a-Lago is kind of right up. I mean, it's backed up, but the wall is right up to the street, and it wouldn't be hard for somebody to do something horrible. It really wouldn't. Now, unlike most of the other radio hosts and website guys and this, that, and that, I've never been to Mar-a-Lago. I've never asked to be at Mar-a-Lago, because I go to Marco Giulio, my own place, which is further up the coast, and I won't give any more specifics. So we go to Marco Giulio. We don't go to Margo Largo. What's it called again? I can't remember. I'm not trying to make... Mar-a-Lago. So, nor have we been invited for dinner at the White House, I might add. Most of the other talk show hosts, big ones, have all been at the White House having dinner. I am so despised by the likes of Reince Priebus. Again, I don't want you to misunderstand. I'm not trying to. I'm not asking to. I'm as independent can be. And by the way, if I did go, I would tell you. Let's take another call. Scott, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the great KFAQ. Let me tell you about KFAQ. This wonderful affiliate has been with me forever. Forever. I am honored to be on KFAQ. Thank you. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Levin. I got a statement and a question for you. The statement...
You're not under oath, so don't worry.
Okay. The statement is for Speaker Ryan and the rest of the Republicans that we sent up there to do a job. Listen to us. We said repeal. Y'all added replace. Knock it off. Listen to us.
Now let's stop for 1 second. Let's say we just did that. You realize, Scott, the Medicaid program would still exist, right?
Yes, sir.
So in other words, well, what are we going to do with all these other people? They're still on Medicaid. Now, 138%. Now, maybe the over 100% of the poverty level, maybe they wouldn't be. But so what? In other words, you make insurance companies would be competing. They wouldn't have these requirements and these mandates, and they'd have the ability to offer different programs to different people like they used to. I just want to make this clear because what are you going to do with all these people? Go ahead.
Yeah, it'd be a free market. I'm tired of...
No, it wouldn't even be a free market, but it would be a freer market. Go ahead.
Correct. Yes, that's more accurate. These guys are acting... they're acting like a bunch of dogs chasing rabbits that the Democrats threw out to chase around the track. It's insane. These guys are either ignorant, inept, corrupt, or...
I think they're cowards.
Well,
I think a big percentage of them are cowards, and a big percentage of them now are hooked on Obamacare.
I agree. And I've got a lot of other adjectives that Mr. Producer wouldn't like.
No. Neither would the FCC.
I know.
Right.
But no matter what you call them, they are ineffective. It comes down to that. They're ineffective.
The other side, when they control things, man, they sprint to the finish line, don't they?
Yes.
Here we hem and haw, what are we going to do? Do the Democrats say we need to keep the best parts of the Republican proposals and plans? Do they ever say that?
Not that I know of. I've never heard it.
I just think these progressive Republicans, and there are too many of them, are truly outrageous. And they win on the coattails of the conservative movement every time when people are upset, and they just do their own thing. Like this Ross Lightman, what's-her-face. I don't remember her name. I don't want to remember her name. All right, Scott, thanks for your call. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Do you know what happened 8 years ago today? 8 years ago today. Liberty and Tyranny came out 8 years ago today. The most successful conservative book in decades, actually, by sales numbers. Liberty and Tyranny. And it came out at the time, almost the exact time as the Tea Party was rising, and gave some intellectual support, renewed support to the idea of conservatism. Now, come this July 4th, on Independence Day, I've written a book that I consider even more important than Liberty and Tyranny, called Rediscovering Americanism. And the subtitle is "And the Tyranny of Progressivism." I've just decided that you hear people talk about, and we talk about things in a way that deals with current events and policy, but I decided we needed to do more than that. I really felt so. People talk about progressivism and liberalism and populism and nationalism, conservatism, whatever the isms are. So I said, you know what, let's start digging into what Americanism is all about. And once you read this book, I mean, I learned things in the scholarship I was doing, the research I was doing, and yes, I did it all. Once you read this book, I think there are going to be revelations. Revelations. I don't mean religious revelations. I mean revelations of intellect, of knowledge, of purpose. You go, holy mackerel. And so I hope you'll check it out. It's actually on Amazon right now. It's already 34% off, $17.70. I'm kind of shocked that they already have discounted it, but that's okay. They try to move them. And we'll be talking about it as we get closer to Independence Day, much more fully, because it comports, it overlaps with what I do on radio and Levin TV. And so, if you're a fan, one of the millions of fans out there, man, I strongly suggest you go ahead and order it, so on day one you have it. You have it in your hands. And then you forget about it, and all of a sudden it shows up. It's Rediscovering Americanism on Amazon.com. Mr. Producer, go ahead, if you will, and put it up on our social sites. You know, I wish this bag under my eye would just go away. If that sounds like you every morning, you're not alone. Bags and puffiness under the eyes are a problem for millions of American men and women. Unless you use Genucel, the plant stem cell treatment from Chamonix, then you'll have no bags and puffiness. Susan from New Jersey, here's what she said. She wrote a letter, and she said, I've been using Genucel for a couple of months. The puffiness around my eyes is gone. Even the crow's feet and small lines have disappeared. I love your product. Now, with all our products, ladies and gentlemen, and all our services, I vouch for them because I'm familiar with them. And I'm familiar with Genucel because my mother uses it, other family members use it, I have friends that use it, and they all love it. They love it. They swear by it. So I want to encourage you to do the same thing. With its instant effects, you'll see results in the first 12 hours of your money back. I want to stress that. With its instant effects, you will see results in the first 12 hours or your money back. So it's risk-free. Call now and you'll save big on Genucel's risk-free limited time offer. Call 800-SKIN-604, 800-SKIN-604. Plus, right now, during Chamonix's spring clearance event, Chamonix will give you an instant $50 coupon while supplies last. So call 800-SKIN-604, 800-SKIN-604, 800-SKIN-604. It's the perfect time to do it. It's Friday evening, so you don't forget. 800-SKIN-604. They're there. I know the federal government shut down, but the private sector lives on. 800-SKIN-604. All right, let's see who's out there. Tim, San Francisco, California, the great KSFO. Go.
Hey, Mark, great to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
Huge fan. I was calling today because I really wanted to acknowledge the bravery it took for the members of the Freedom Caucus to stand their ground and really hold up their principles. You know, it's very encouraging to me that we actually have some people that are principled and are willing to not be bullied. I think it's fantastic.
Isn't it amazing to you that we have like 40 of them out of 220 or so?
We need a lot more, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. But, you know, you send people in there, and they say they're going to do one thing, and they do another. I often talk about this guy, I think his name is Adam Kingzett, something like that, out of Chicago in the Peoria area. Guy ran as a Tea Party candidate. As soon as he got to Washington, he flipped. And this happens to a lot of them. It just does. All right, my friend, thank you for your call. Let us continue. Sharon, Hartselle, Alabama, the great WVNN. Go.
Hi, Mr. Levin, first-time caller. I wanted to make a comment about what I noticed was the representatives, what tells you how bad this bill was, is they never said, oh, this is a really great bill, it's going to do great things, but what they kept saying is, we have to pass this because it's the only bill we can get through with the Democrats or to filibuster it, or they said things like, if we don't pass this bill, then we're going to have Obamacare forever. I actually heard one representative say that. That's ridiculous. If Ryan and Trump both said, hey, Obamacare is imploding, it's doing a death spiral, then how are we going to have Obamacare forever?
All right, my friend. Appreciate your call. Coast to coast, people are relieved that this failed, but now they want serious, positive action. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. I'm going to take more calls this hour because it's Friday. It's the final hour. And I haven't been taking a lot of calls this week because there's been so much going on. And we have been the center of the news now for 3 weeks, going on 4 weeks. Now, Chairman Devin Nunes won't come on the program, or at least wouldn't yesterday. Maybe he will in the future. Maybe he's flying to California. Who knows? But I appreciate what he's been doing. I really do. It's taken a lot of guts. And, of course, the Praetorian Guard media is fighting back. For 2 weeks it was me. Now this week it's him. New York Slime's editorial. Representative Nunes is a lapdog in a watchdog role. Washington Compost. Nunes' grandstanding proves he can't lead the Russia investigation. It's almost as if these are written by the loathsome Adam Schiff, a.k.a. Schiffless, the hack Democrat from the Los Angeles area, who is the rank Democrat leader, who has called for a special prosecutor, an independent commission, and for the Attorney General to step aside. But he's very bipartisan and independent. Then the L.A. Slimes. Nunes' freelancing threatens an investigation into Russian meddling. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to continue what I've been saying now for weeks. I have no problem with an investigation into Russian meddling. I am no fan of Vladimir Putin or his regime. And now it appears they're arming the Taliban against our soldiers in Afghanistan. And they're arming the Iranians against us and the Israelis. And, of course, they are in alliance with the Red Chinese regime and so forth and so on. So he's a loathsome SOB. He's a dictator. He's a despot. So I have no quarter for him. I'll leave that to the Code Pink Republicans. But that said, ladies and gentlemen, there needs to be, and I've talked about this, and I want to underscore this Friday evening, there needs to be a full-blown independent investigation directed specifically at the conduct and activities of the Obama administration in the last year, during the course of the primaries, during the course of the general election, after the general election, up to and including the inauguration of President Trump. We know as a matter of fact now that the transition team was surveilled. Legally, according to Mr. Nunes, fine, but it was surveilled. And what we know happened from there was not legal. That Trump, his transition team, discussions about his family and so forth and so on, were recorded and transcribed rather than purged. Probably during the course of the institution of a FISA court warrant on a foreigner or some foreign enterprise. But that does not give liberty to the Obama administration to record, transcribe, and spread to other departments and agencies information about private citizens, information about the incoming President of the United States and his transition team. These are, I want to be clear, so CNN, so the Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all the other crap weasels out there, I want them to understand these are police state tactics. There is no legitimate reason for that information to be transcribed and spread across various intelligence and law enforcement agencies. None. Zero. Moreover, the other investigation, the ongoing investigation led by J. Edgar Comey. And let me say this, Comey's no J. Edgar Hoover either, but J. Edgar Comey. The leaks that have come out of that investigation, the leaks that have come out of the intelligence agencies to the media, the leaks that I argue have come out of the White House and former White House staffers who had access to certain intelligence information, the nature of which we simply don't know. But we have to rely on the liberal media, which the liberal media now rejects. The change in the NSA distribution policy on January 3rd that I've been talking about now for 3 weeks. The dissemination, the cherry-picking, the leaking of Lieutenant General Flynn's conversation or conversations, resulting ultimately in his dismissal. The leaking of information about discussions the President of the United States, Trump, had with foreign leaders, for crying out loud. But some of this occurred, if not most of it, during and as a result of the Obama administration. And we need to get to the bottom of this. And I don't much care if the low IQ phony journalists are interested or not. I don't care. We know who they are and we know what they are. They're frauds. The Praetorian Guard media. And so they trash the House Intelligence Committee chairman, Devin Nunes. Now he's supposed to be investigated. Now he's tainted. Now he's corrupt. Not Adam Schiff. Not partisan hack Adam Schiff. No, he's fine. He wants to get to the bottom of this. All the Democrats want to talk about now is the collusion between the Russians and the Trump campaign, even though there's not one scintilla of evidence of such collusion that we're aware of right now. Zero. What they won't talk about is what we do have evidence of. The conduct of entities within the Obama administration, in some cases, in apparent violation of federal law. Where's the LA Times? What happened to the New York Times? What happened to the Washington Post? Where's CNN? Where are the rest of them? They're not even interested. No, their questions, just like in the Obamacare thing, well, what do you think of the Freedom Caucus? Huh? You don't like them, do you? Huh? Their questions are, do you think Nunes should step down? Do you think Nunes is tainted? Do you think a bipartisan investigation can now occur on the House Intelligence Committee because of Nunes going to the White House? No. How could the guy who is running the investigation as chairman of our committee be running to the targets of the investigation over at the White House? Hey, morons in the media. Mr. Nunes went to the White House about matters having nothing to do with Russia. I don't know how many more times I have to explain this. He went to the White House to alert the President of the United States that his branch of the government, entities within his branch of the government, where he's in charge of the executive branch, had put information in numerous intelligence reports that should not have been put in numerous intelligence reports prior to the time that he became President of the United States, was circulated to numerous agencies and departments, which should not have been circulated to numerous agencies and departments. And this, sorry to say, not a conspiracy, is a habit that existed in the Obama administration, using incidental intelligence. We know as a matter of fact that President Barack Obama was aware of and told about incidental information involving the Prime Minister of Israel, Jewish organizations, and members of Congress when it came to the Iran matter, because they were eavesdropping on the Prime Minister of Israel. That's a fact. Ooh, you can't talk about Barack Milhouse Hussein Obama that way. No. You don't understand. There's never been and never will be any scandals associated with him. Like you right-wing kooks were trying to stick the IRS scandal on him. He had nothing to do with that. And it happened on his watch. He's president. He had nothing to do with that. Or Fast and Furious. He had nothing to do with that. Or Benghazi. You're obsessed with Benghazi. He had nothing to do with it. He has nothing to do with anything. Don't you know? No. And he's the smartest man to ever be president of the United States, too. He doesn't have time for these things. And then I'm reminded of Jack Ryan. As I mentioned yesterday, Jack Ryan, who was the Republican nominee running for the Senate against State Senate backbencher Barack Milhouse Benito Obama. Remember that? For the United States Senate. And somehow the media knew to go to a judge in California to get unsealed divorce records that humiliated the Ryan family and their little kids. Things are said, so forth, in divorce records, and they're under seal. But they knew to go get those divorce records, to get them unsealed, and somehow they got unsealed. It's not so easy. And it tanked the Ryan candidacy, so he withdrew. And all but assured the election of Barack Milhouse Benito Obama to the United States Senate. He had nothing to do with that either. He didn't even know about it. I mean, come on. When he launched his political career, he met with 2 domestic terrorists, Bill Ayers and the beautiful Bernadine Dorn. One of his closest buddies is a professor now at Columbia, but he was at Chicago. Khalidi is his name, with his links to Hamas, and his wife's links as well, as I recall. He didn't know about any of that. He didn't know what he wanted. Those are his friends. He doesn't know. Sat in the pews of a loathsome, phony preacher, in my view, spreading hate with his racist and anti-Semitic spewing. For 20 years he sits there. All of a sudden, I must have been in the wrong place. I don't remember Jeremiah Wright. Who's he? Oh, that guy. Oh, I don't know. I just went there for the cookies and grape juice. I didn't know. What do I know? Yeah, when I was a kid, I would go to synagogue, and I always looked forward to the end where we would get cookies and grape juice. But that's a whole other story. No, he doesn't know any of this stuff. These things just happen around Barack Milhouse Benito Obama. So there needs to be a full-scale, independent investigation directed specifically and solely at the conduct of the Obama administration and what the president and his inner circle knew and when they knew it. And the liberal media monitoring this show right now, writing down my every syllable, hates what I just said. It infuriates them. But you regular Americans, you know I'm right. So right am I that even the backbenchers are picking this up now. Finally, after 3 weeks. Welcome, boys. Where have you been? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Half of tomorrow I got to work on my taxes. It's just incredible what they put you through. Absolutely incredible. Oh, you don't pay enough. Oh, we got to pay more. Yeah, right. Okay. Let us go to William, Melbourne, Florida, the great WMMB. Go.
Good evening, Mr. Levin. It's a pleasure to speak with you. I am 40 years old. I am a teacher of 10 years. I voted for Mr. Trump. I voted for Obama. I voted for Kerry, and I voted for Bush. I am a registered independent voter.
Hold on, whoa. You're all over the map. You're all over the map. You voted for a lot of people.
Or American.
Well, I know you're American, but you can still be all over the map. Let me get this straight. You voted for Kerry, Obama, Bush, and Trump.
Correct.
Now, what is your thinking on that?
I vote on the issues.
Well, so do I. And that's why I would never vote for Obama or Kerry.
Well, I was misguided. I learned that I am optimistic about the future of this country, so therefore...
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I was just curious. Anyway, go ahead.
I support Trump 100%. I am very optimistic about Trump.
Hold on, whoa. You support what about Trump 100%? I don't support anybody 100%.
I completely agree, and actually on the environmental issue, I do not agree with him. But I am very optimistic on...
What environmental issue don't you agree with him on?
I don't agree on the fact that he supports deregulation for the better of the dollar.
For what?
For the better of the dollar. He deregulates...
For the better of the dollar. Now, you say you're a teacher. Do you teach English? What do you teach?
I teach middle school English.
Okay, the better of the dollar. What kind of a sentence is that?
Well, he definitely would prefer to make profits over regulation and paying federal...
Can't somebody say that we're sick and tired of the radical leftists who have infiltrated the Environmental Protection Agency, treat it as their own turf, use regulations to attack private property rights, water rights, air rights, navigable rights, use it to shut down our coal mines, our steel mills, and attack our industries? Do you have to be for the profit motive to object to what the Environmental Protection Agency is doing?
No, you do not. And I understand that the EPA is corrupt for several issues. The recent was the leak of rust or in the West Coast.
Leak of gold runoff in a river, and they caused it. But that's not my point. My point is you assign... profit motives, and by the way, nothing wrong with profit, by the way, right? You don't teach for free, do you? Just want to make sure.
Not at all.
Okay. Anyway, so I'm just making a point. But you can be opposed to certain of these things just because you think they're wrong. Right?
Correct.
All right. Thank you for your call. That's a head scratcher, that one there. Lynn, Kansas City, Missouri, the great KCMO. Go.
Yes, thank you. I am so happy to talk with you. And yes, I can say it. I am sick and tired of those radical liberals.
Amen.
I'm just so mad right now, but at the same time, I am so happy. I'm sick of Obama. I'm sick of Clinton. I'm sick of liberals. I'm sick of Democrats, and I'm sick of the lame duck Republicans that have been neutered, and that includes Bush. But at the same time, I don't think...
Bush isn't around anymore. But anyway, what?
I really didn't think this was a good deal on the insurance, so I'm glad it didn't pass.
Yeah, me too. Now they need to get their act together, right, Lynn?
That's right.
All right, Lynn, I'm sorry. We're out of time. I apologize. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin, an unapologetic patriot and unapologetic constitutionalist. You can reach him at 877-381-3811.
I want to spend a minute on why Hillsdale College, why it's relevant to your life even if you don't have a family member of college age. Hillsdale helps all of us know how critical liberty is in every aspect of our lives. They can help you really understand that a nation and her people thrive when there's economic freedom, and how our government is uniquely formed with the express purpose of protecting the dignity and worth of every human being. For instance, there are few institutions that dedicate their entire existence to helping us think through these things. Most schools certainly don't. The mass media certainly doesn't, but Hillsdale College does. And my friend, the president of Hillsdale College, Dr. Larry Arnn, who is a scholar on the Declaration of Independence and Winston Churchill, among other things, he knows your hunger for truth, and that our republic and way of life depends on American citizens, starting with you becoming advocates for these basic truths. No matter your age, it's never too late to learn. You can learn through their free online courses, free subscription to Imprimis, and local free Hillsdale events. Here's what you do. Go to levinforhillsdale.com, L-E-V-I-N for Hillsdale.com, to see how Hillsdale can help you pursue truth and defend liberty. That's levinforhillsdale.com, L-E-V-I-N for Hillsdale.com. And with the weekend here, it's the perfect time to do it. levinforhillsdale.com. If you haven't checked it out, you should. And if you've checked it out, you need to go back. They update it all the time. Hugh, Ambler, Pennsylvania, on the Mark Levin app. Go.
Yo, Mark, it's a pleasure, buddy. First, let me tell you, man, I have a signed copy of Plunder and Deceit.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for your next book, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And guess what? That signed copy is framed and hanging on the wall, my friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, too.
Because I got other copies laying around that we read, but that
Yeah.
will not be touched by human hands.
Well, I appreciate that.
But listen, I got to say to you, this whole thing with the health care and and Trump, I mean, he's been at, 50 days? It's crazy what we're going through here.
64, but who's counting?
I know. But still, I mean, look, I'm just glad the Republican Party, some people have some gunyunis that they can actually say, no, we're not. We're going to stand on principle, and we're going to stand on conviction. Because if you look at the Democrats, look at the way Obamacare was passed.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the night, and all they do is Democrats always go with the party line. Republicans don't do that. Let this thing implode. And like you were saying earlier, why won't the Democrats try to fix this thing?
Right, and they're not going to try and fix it. But anyway, or if they do, it'll be single payers. But why don't they make their proposals so all of us can see them?
Exactly. So I think this thing, I'm really glad it didn't pass, because I'm sorry that Trump really took on Obamacare in the beginning. I thought he had other things he could have done, the wall and immigration and all. But let this thing just go.
I'll tell you what, they better start getting something done here and getting it done right.
Well, I hope so.
Let me ask you something. Ambler, you live in Ambler.
Ambler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you're familiar with the Temple University campus there?
Temple, yeah, you went to school there.
I went right there.
I think I told you before on the air, I actually watched you walk into school, and I used to yell to you, hey, Mark, someday you're going to be a very famous talk show host. And
I don't remember this. Are you my age?
I'm a little older than you.
Yeah, I was very young when I went to college.
Because
but I also
I'll tell you what, I think I remember you being involved with, do you remember Dominic Quinn?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I forget the name of the station.
Great radio host in Philadelphia, Dominic Quinn, and I loved him.
Bill Maher used to come in to
Tom Maher. Tom Maher, my dear, I think about him often. Yeah, my buddy Tom Maher. Bob Grant, for a period of time, was in Philly when they kicked him out of New York.
I heard you on the air with Dominic Quinn one time.
Yeah.
Back in the Reagan era.
He was unbelievable, Dominic Quinn.
A young little puppet dog, man.
That's right.
But listen, I know you're a big. Listen, we love you in this area. You're a hometown guy, and I know you don't have a placard on Cheltenham High.
No, they'll never put one there on me. Trust me.
But you should, buddy.
Yeah, well, thank you. I was on that school board when I was 19, 20 years old. They hate my guts there.
Friend, Mark, your life, man, and I'll tell you what, I can't wait for the new book, because you really do a hell of a job, and I know you're very modest and everything, but I'm just glad that you're from this area, brother.
Thank you, man. You take care. God bless you. I could tell his Philadelphia accent, too. Couldn't you, Rich? But he's a great guy. Ambler, PA is a beautiful area. Pennsylvania is a beautiful state. It really is. I miss my Pennsylvania. Need to sneak up there from time to time and see my brother Doug. All right, let's continue. Chris, Point McKinsey, where are you? Point McKinsey, Alaska. The great KBYR. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I think we need to go back to private health insurance, and all these people ignore the big pink elephant in the room, which is some people will just have to go without health insurance if they can't afford it. Some people don't work, they don't want to work, and they're lazy, and they don't deserve it.
But they get health insurance. They get Medicaid, and they can walk into an emergency room. And I agree with you. But what else can we do for people? If they're poor, if they're illegal aliens, whatever the circumstance. We can't destroy our entire economic system and our entire healthcare system. And some of these people will always be around. And guess what? There's more and more of them when the government controls healthcare. Ask our veterans.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why people don't bring this up. More people in the public arena don't bring this up and say, hey, look, we have our single-payer system, and it's broken.
Yeah. Yeah, the American dream isn't that people that do and have provide for the people that don't or won't do anything for themselves.
Well, I resent it because not only do we pay taxes, but then they say we don't pay enough. Then we say somehow we're cheating people. Then they attack hard work and profit and success, and if you've earned something, you didn't do it on your own. I'm sick and tired of that whole mentality.
Yeah, me too.
All right, brother, you take care. Let's continue, shall we? Sandy, Indianapolis, Indiana, a city that I really like. Sirius Satellite, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing, Mark?
I'm all right, thank you.
I just wanted to call. This is my first time calling, so I'm a little nervous.
Don't be worried. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, me and my husband both are big fans. We watch you every night on CRTV.
Thank
you. Yeah, we love it. And we're both we're Americans that just happen to be black. But I just wanted to call and say that we love what you do, and we were first Cruz supporters, and then we knew we didn't want Hillary in, so we voted for Trump. But when I was driving home this evening, I had to call because when you was talking about Representative Cummings, about everything's not Selma, I wish more black people would realize that everything's not civil rights, and they need to learn their history about the Democratic Party, and maybe some of them wouldn't even be in that party.
Well, it was John Lewis, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, what you're doing is really wrong, quite frankly. It's very demagogic, and that is, if you don't advance this hard left agenda, then you don't have a soul, then you're for inequality. It's absolutely absurd. It's offensive. Liberty, liberty, liberty. That's the word, liberty.
That's what I try to tell my black friends, but they don't believe that. They just think Democrat, and they don't realize the harm that Obama has done to this country, really bad for the last 8 years. And I just wish more Republicans would just grow some guts and get some things done and stop messing around. It's just so frustrating, just the unlawfulness that's going on in our country right now.
Well, you sound like a lovely lady. Thank you very, very much. You take care, and my best to your husband, too. Let's continue. John, Bridgeville, Delaware, the great WGMD. Go.
Hey, Mark, good evening. Enjoying the show a lot. I just wanted to say I think that the 43 guys in the Freedom Caucus, or however many they are, just probably saved the country's economy, the Republican Party, and Trump's second term.
You know what? That's a brilliant way to put it, and you're exactly right.
They were going to destroy the economy with the bill. They were going to destroy the Republican Party with it being hung around their neck, and Trump would have had it hung around his neck as well.
That's a very good way to put it. No, you're quite right. Hey, by the way, do you have CRTV?
I do not.
Would you like to get it?
I would love it.
All right, don't hang up. Let's get him a annual subscription to CRTV. I would encourage all of you folks to do that too. You can get a 1-week free trial if you check it out now. 844-LEVIN-TV, 844-LEVIN-TV. Do it. Watch it this weekend. Check it out. You know, another 32 million email accounts have been breached. This on top of the previously announced 1.5 billion in recent years. This time, hackers used forged cookies to gain access to protected accounts. Stolen information was posted for sale on the dark web last August for $300,000. Now, some of you listening don't even know what any of these terms mean. Before I had LifeLock sponsoring, I didn't know what any of these terms meant. The point is that what you do, banking, other things that you do, the enemy, that is these thieves, can tap into the Internet, can tap into your system and steal you blind. Now, the Internet company has since removed the cookies from their system. To avoid identity theft, reset your email accounts with strong passwords. Identity theft is America's fastest-growing crime. It happens when thieves use your information to pretend that they're you. And they particularly go after the elderly, but they go after everybody. They can buy things on your credit or liquidate bank accounts. LifeLock scans hundreds of millions of transactions every second. And if they detect your information, they send you an alert. If you have a problem, a U.S.-based agent will work to fix it. Not like free credit monitoring, which only alerts you to changes in credit. Now, no one can protect all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock is the very best identity theft protection available anywhere. So go to LifeLock.com, LifeLock.com, or call 1-800-LifeLock. That's 1-800-LifeLock. In either case, make sure you use the promo code Levin. That's Levin, L-E-V-I-N. That way you get 10% off your LifeLock membership. Again, 1-800-LifeLock, promo code Levin, or LifeLock.com, promo code Levin. Save 10% now.
Mark Levin.
All right, let's find another caller or two before we wrap things up. Shaw, Trucker, California, Sirius Satellite. How are you, sir? Go for it, Shaw.
Today?
Good. How are you?
Well, Mark, I wanted to start. I'm driving south on the I-395. It runs on the eastern side of Sierras, and it's nothing short of spectacular.
Oh, it sounds beautiful.
So
yeah.
The reason I was calling was, the fiasco with our Republican leadership. It's embarrassing. The Democrats, when they voted in Obamacare, they pretty much didn't care about 50% of their own people losing what they had. They just went full forward. They implemented their plan. Now we have the Republicans. It's like the Three Stooges. It's just hard to believe. They can't figure out, we don't want to replace Obamacare. It needs to be repealed.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong on that?
No, you're not wrong on that. And if they're going to add some things in there that actually expand people's choices and increase competition and encourage the creation of more policies and so forth, that would be the kind of replacement that we want. We already have people who are poor covered by Medicaid. We had Medicaid long before Barack Obama became president. I believe it was passed in 1965 or 66, right after Medicare. We have other poverty programs. We have, yes, emergency rooms. So be it. You shouldn't destroy the entire healthcare system to deal with a small percentage of the population. I mean, we have a right as Americans. We earn our way, and we have a right to purchase what we choose to purchase. And then I hear commentators go on, well, we need a mandate. We don't want people, free riders. Well, what do you call Medicaid? That's a free ride, with all due respect. And even more than that. I'm not talking about free riders. We're talking about having a system where there are policies that we can purchase and choose from. Thanks for your call, my friend. Every Friday, Ray Charles in America, in your honor. Here we go.
Oh, beautiful, for heroes in liberating strife. Who more than self our country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, make God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and ever again divine. And you know, when I was in school, we used to sing it something like this. Listen here. Oh, beautiful, far spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties, over the fruited plain. But now wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned thy good. Yes, he did. Heavy brotherhood from sea to shining sea. You know, I wish I had somebody to help me sing this. America, I love you, America. You see, my God, he done shed his grace on thee. And you ought to love him for it, 'cause he crowned thy good. He told me he would. Every brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, Lord, I thank you, Lord.
The week is officially over. The weekend begins right now. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel. Good night, Pepsi. Good night, Griffey. Good night, Spritey. Good night, Smokey. And good night, Zelda. Get Al-Qaeda. Get the Taliban. Get ISIS. Get all those cockroaches. And I'll see you on Levin TV in 2 minutes. And I'll see you on the radio on Monday. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend.